Wiley, can you tell us about your childhood?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in Napa, California, and I lived the first 5 years of my life there before my dad wanted to relocate to kind of like a smaller feeling type of town. Like he grew up in West Texas, and he kind of wanted to do something like that. I think he lived in Odessa as a kid. And so he wanted to have something like that, and so he moved our whole family to Roswell, which they found kind of traveling across the country and with like all of our shit in a car. And we wound up in Roswell, New Mexico. And for the first few months, like while my parents were trying to get settled or whatever, we lived in this little hotel room that I remember being at quite a bit. It was kind of an exciting thing. I was like 5 or 6 years old at the time. So we ended up settling there, and I grew up kind of in a regular type of fucking lifestyle with my parents. I was just like young, catching frogs and shit, you know?
That's right.
And, you know, a little later, as I got older, I started like kind of getting into punk things. Like some friends of mine were into, you know, the real early shit, Misfits and stuff like that. And I kind of just started getting in trouble as you do in a small town. I think a lot of our time was spent driving around and throwing bottles and breakables at shit out the window. And that was just kind of how I grew up there, going to like little small schools and people being pretty small-minded, small-town minds, you know. And whenever I got into high school grade, I was sent off to a boarding school in Colorado Springs, and I went there for a little while, and it got really sad because I missed a lot of my friends, to be honest, and I ended up coming back and doing a small town school, finishing out college, or finishing out high school in New Mexico, in Roswell, and ended up like hanging out with some kids who were like really into fucking pop punk and shit, which is like really not my jam, but ended up being my friends. And after that, I ended up moving up to Albuquerque to attempt to go to college, and that's where I kind of like met some punk friends again. And they were like way more on the political tip of everything, and like that's how I started to find out about better music and like more like-minded individuals like that. And after living there and like finding like that whole scene, like I was like just kind of indebted after that. Felt like that was like really the thing where I wanted to be. And I was few semesters into college in Albuquerque at that point, and my mom came and found me one day super randomly at in between classes, and she came and found me and wanted to let me know something that had happened. And I found out that my father had committed suicide there, or well, he was living in Wickenburg, Arizona at the time. My parents had separated, and kind of typical thing, divorce at an early age. Before that, around when I was 13, around was when that was happening. But she came and told me that, and that was like I feel like kind of a catalyst of sorts that really pushed me further into doing my own thing and like being political and into like darker ideologies and stuff like this. But yeah, after that, I met a girl who had broken up with her boyfriend at the time, and we ended up hooking up and traveling around up and down the California, just fucking all of California, really, living out of my car because I wasn't ready to finish school or fucking be responsible in any type of way like that. And then kind of near the end of that, I realized that this wasn't really like the best situation for me to be in. Like our relationship had kind of soured in a couple ways. And I ended up coming back to Denver to try to go to school again, which also failed. But once I'd done that for a minute, I ended up finding the kind of the punk scene up here. I had brought a couple friends from Albuquerque with me to live with me in this fucking tiny shithole apartment in Aurora. And we didn't know where to fucking find any of the punk scene, anything like that. So we were just kind of going to record stores and then looking for like flyers that looked somewhat punk, like anything that was going on. And that actually took a minute for us to really figure out like where the real shit was. Like obviously there's like, oh, fucking big fucking so-and-so band is playing at the fucking Ogden or whatever, and it's like, okay, like whatever, we can go fucking see the Misfits there. But what really kind of got myself into the scene here is, excuse me, we found a flyer for this psychobilly show, which was at a venue that's like right across the alley from just this kind of like small like kind of fucking dive bar. And me and my buds were just fucking sitting outside drinking beers on this grease trap because we didn't really want to pay to go into this psychobilly show. And while we're outside, this lady walks by and turns and gives us this real confused look, and we're like, oh shit, we're about to be busted, we should probably get the fuck out of here. And so we start kind of fucking packing up and shit. And then all of a sudden, this door that we had previously not noticed busted open behind the grease trap, and this fucking huge dude comes out and scared the shit out of us because we thought we were getting kicked out. Turns out it's Justin of the Clusterfucks, and that's just where he happened to be working the kitchen. And he came out, and apparently the woman who had seen us was someone who worked there and was like, hey, Justin, like some of your punk friends are fucking hanging out outside or whatever. And so he thought he knew us busting out like that. It turns out he didn't know us at all. But then he was really friendly, and we went over to his house that night and fucking kicked it all night, drinking beers, and made really good friends. And I've been playing music with that dude ever since, really. Like, he was one of the first like real serious bands that I started with him a little bit later on down the line. But that's my foray into Denver, which kind of forays my right into my music career, to be honest. Because let's go, before your whole musicology, let's do your high school. Just tell me what your high school experience was like. Oh yeah.
And then we'll talk about all of your, starting with the first band and...
Okay, sure. Yeah, so the high school that I went to at first, at that boarding school, was really fucking hoity-toity, in my opinion. I think their claim to fame is that Drew Barrymore went there, which was like her high school or whatever. Yeah.
No way, that's great.
Yeah, and so coming into that whole scenario, like, I didn't really want to be there, but like my parents thought that it was what was best. And so I went there for a couple years, and coming from Roswell, being like a young punker skateboarder kid, like there was no one like that at that fucking school. So I just kind of had to make friends where I could, and I ended up making friends with like a bunch of graffiti artists. And so that was kind of what I kept my time busy with.
Well,
whenever I was there.
How was hanging out with those kids?
They're fine. Like, I mean, everyone has like their own like idiocracies and like agenda about like political stuff as far as graffiti goes. But I mean, these are kids that were like just kind of like on the little outskirts of like counterculture stuff,
Exactly.
and they all like techno music, which was not really my fucking jam, but I would hang out with them and sneak out at night and go do graffiti on the outskirts of the school. There was like a wall that went around the school, and people go paint graffiti there, and I kind of got into that a little bit. And so that was fun for the time being. But then, you know, I got pretty homesick being young, leaving the fucking state that way. And so I came back and ended up hanging out with my friends and back in Roswell here. And I remember around the time I came back, I think it was September 11th, and one of my good friends went to school in a shirt that said, "It shouldn't take a tragedy to unite a country" on his shirt. And I remember him getting expelled for that and how much horse shit I thought that was. I was just like, wow, like, you're gonna state this like fact that really should be applied to, you know, everyone's way of being, and then he got expelled for it. Like, it was a lot of bullshit, and I think that cemented my you know, political punk shit.
Did you guys do anything when you got expelled?
No, I feel like we were pretty young and helpless feeling at that time.
Yeah.
I tell you what we did do is not go to school and then fucking drink beers and smoke weed at his house. So
there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that was high school. I mean, other than that, like his name Brett is like probably the fucking punkest dude that there was in the fucking all of Roswell, to be honest. He was like one of my fucking really good friends. Around that time there was this place called the Unity Center in Roswell, which was like where young kids were like could just go fucking start a band, and fucking that's how they were, you know, had any type of experience playing like instruments or anything. Like, it was just like an area where you could fucking do whatever you wanted. Like, you could go and start a band there, or like meet people that were there. They had a little fucking skate park in the back. It's the first place that I ever smoked weed, which is like probably not what you want out of a Unity Center, but it definitely was part of my formative years in appreciating heavy music and you know, angsty youth shit.
Hey, let's start with your first band ever. What was that like?
So whenever I was living in Roswell, I really wanted to play music and didn't really have the means to, and I wanted to be a drummer originally. It was like the thing that I wanted to do, but that wasn't in the cards financially for what my parents could fucking provide for, you know, birthdays and Christmas or whatever. And so I ended up settling on playing guitar. So I got a really shitty little electric guitar and a practice amp whenever I was younger and lived in Roswell, and kind of just did a lot of like learning covers and dumb shit. Like I distinctly remember learning to play a Deftones song at one point, and it didn't really span out too far after that in New Mexico until I moved to Denver, and I went to another pawn shop and ended up picking up another guitar after that one was like long gone, and was just kind of riffing and doing shit, and didn't really have any aspirations to like, I'm gonna start a band, or like, you know, I didn't fucking know anybody, so there's no way to do that. And so after I had met Justin, and he invited me and my buds back to his place, I met his wife, Nicole, and I was hanging around with them for, you know, a good amount of time. And then at one point, Nicole had asked me to fill in guitar for her all-female band called Bloody Mary and the Tijuana Donkey Show. And I was like, you want a dude to come fill in guitar in your all-woman band? And I was like, she's like, well, we'll probably make you cross-dress for the first show, you know. And I'm like, all right, yeah, all right, like I'm friends with all you cats, like I'm into it, like let's go, let's do it. And that was how the first show went down. And we had a lot of fun playing in that band. We were real goofy. It was a lot of shit like that.
When was that?
That was like, probably within the first year or two of me living here. So 2005, 2006, something like that.
What was the name of the band?
So once the band transitioned,
right,
we renamed the band Doers of It, which is D-O with umlauts, E-R-S, O with umlauts, V-I-T, but it's because we're the ones who do it.
Nice,
It's
nice.
kind of a fun name. But that band lasted for quite some time. Around the middle of that band's existence, probably, I started another band with her and other people too, with Justin of Clusterfucks, which was kind of like more of a grindcore band, which is kind of what I was into at the time. And not so much grindcore as like super crusty shit. Like we were really into Destroy at the time,
Oh yeah.
And so kind of like in that vein, we even did a Destroy cover at the time.
Which song you remember?
Banality of Evil.
Nice.
I think.
Sick.
If I remember right, I think that's a fucking Destroy song. And so like that kind of like paved the way into doing heavier music and shit. Do you want to talk about this in chronological order, or you want to talk about more bands that I was in?
No, go ahead chronologically. So how did that?
Yeah, so
screw us after that?
yeah, and so around the time that I was doing that band, I was going to this other DIY venue that we just found out about is very new, called the Blastomat, and
oh hell yeah!
I met a lot of those kids. It was a whole slew of characters that were just kind of like living in this old, I don't know if it was like an old machine shop or like a car there was like a car lift, like a engine lift or whatever on the ceiling. I don't know what it was before that, but a bunch of kids were living in there, living super fucking DIY, and wanted to start having shows and shit. And I ended up getting asked to move in there, which ended up being the Blastomat. And
that's awesome. I didn't know you lived there.
Yeah. No, I lived there for a long time, kind of right up until the end. To be honest, there was like a lot of change, and people were living there for a long time, and we were just doing all of the grunt work to book shows and do all of that stuff on our own, and not really making too much from it. We just wanted to have it be a cool place for bands to play. And it kind of transitioned later on down the line to the people not living there and more volunteer run and stuff like this. And so that was around Scarcasm's time. So while I was living there, kind of in the heyday of Blastomat, I remember there was a show that was coming through. Someone was coming to play, and we couldn't fucking find any bands to play. And me and my buddy Dylan were like, well, let's just fucking make a band to fucking play with these bands.
Exactly.
And so we just did like 2-piece, total like spastic power violence grindcore shit about cops on segways and just random things that we were doing at the time. We had a song about dumpster hot tub, because we had stolen a dumpster and turned it into a hot tub while we were living there at one point. That was a really fun 2-piece band that I was in that didn't last too long. We could try to get revived some years down the road, and like never really made it off the ground, but that shit was really fun to me.
What was the name of that one?
Steamroller.
Okay.
Yeah. It was me on guitar and Dylan Naden on drums. Fantastic drummer.
You guys put anything out?
No.
Just played.
I struggled to find any recordings of us, so if you guys fucking got recordings of Steamroller playing, I'd like to see them. I had one of the effects that I had on my pedal board was bicycle horn.
Nice.
So, fucking grinding, big fucking breakdown, bicycle horn stonks, honk honk, dun, 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 honk. Real fucking stupid, but it was fun.
So how long did that last, and then what happened after that?
That one didn't last too terribly long, maybe a couple years. We just kind of had fun with it for a minute while it was fresh. After that, around this time, doers of it is still happening. And then I kind of wanted to start like a more serious crust band, like kind of melodic, heavy crust shit. And to be honest, Justin might have been the one to kick that idea to me to start doing something like that. And then that's when we started this band called Drip Fed.
Nice.
Which is the band that I did the most releases with and touring with. And that band was really fun. It was, very much more thought out. And we got 5 members. We're like trying to make it really clean and fucking big,
So when did that band start?
I'm so horrible with times.
Probably
and dates.
06 or 07 or something?
Maybe 08.
Okay.
Maybe something like that.
Nice.
And
what's the name of this crush band?
The Drip Fed.
Oh yeah, Drip Fed.
That's the name of that one. I really had a great time playing with that one because it let like more people kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and it became like more of a cohesive thing between all of us to like write some really fucking cool music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the demo, what was the demo like?
Let's see. Well, we went into the studio before we'd ever even played our first show, and we recorded a 7-inch.
Nice.
And released that.
So it was pretty much like straight to 7-inch?
Yep.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then later on down the line, once we'd had more songs, we did a 10-inch that I'm pretty proud of. I like that one a lot.
Is it still out there, like the 10-inch?
Yeah, dude, I got one if you want it.
Nice. Yeah, I'll take one. Fuck yeah. Thank you. So after the 10-inch, did you all do anything? What about tours?
Yeah, so we played around like traveling short distances, doing weekend runs and shit like that. The biggest thing that we did was like kind of like West Coast deal, like out to Vegas, over to San Diego, and then up. Played up into Portland, and then Idaho, and back down. Pretty short deal, but it was a lot of fun. It was a great time to be around my buds at the time to do all that.
Yeah, what was the best show on the tour?
Ooh, I don't want to break any hearts, dude. I don't know. Probably one of the Portland shows. Yeah, because we played 2 Portland shows. I think it was Star Bar and the Alleyway.
Nice.
I think.
Both of those places are good.
I had a good time at both of those places.
Fuck yeah,
So
man.
I'd say they're in the strong running.
Fuck yeah, Portland's great. So, did you guys put out more?
That was it from there. We were like very busy on our way to like do more shit, and then the band just kind of fell apart like randomly in like the year afterward. Our bass player ended up moving to France. I don't know, people just kind of as bands do, it just kind of people float their different ways,
Mm-hmm.
It was a bummer, and people fucking still talk about that band and be like, when's the reunion? And I'm like, yeah, okay, like it could happen, but we'll see. I would love to do it. Val, Jill, Justin, Joe, let's do this.
So what happened after that in terms of music?
So around that time, I was like the same time that band ended, I was breaking up with a long-term girlfriend at the time, which was a fucking huge bummer, and I didn't really know what the fuck I was doing. I was just like staying in friends' basements and shit like this. I was like trying to like hold shit together and like, okay, well, like here's another project that I could be doing. I'm like starting random bands with dudes, and like just because it's all I fucking know to keep me sane really is to be playing music and putting my brain function towards something productive like that. And so there was like a few like little fun projects that I was doing in between then, and I started dating this other girl that I was super infatuated with for a long time, and tried to make that work with her. There was a bunch of on and off. I ended up moving to Texas with her on a couple different occasions to try to really make that work and help her out. We just ended up not being on the same page and getting in a lot of physical fights that were like not conducive to either of our situations. Not to mention that I didn't really fucking know anybody in Texas. I couldn't really find time to play in any bands or do anything to help my own mental sanity, you know, down there. And we ended up splitting up, and I moved right back here and found my career in screen printing.
Hell yeah!
I got my foot in the door at a screen printing place, and that's when I was able to find really what I fucking like doing for a living, which is screen printing. And shortly after that is when I immediately started forming more bands.
Nice. Well, I want to ask you about the screen printing, but let's finish with your musicology first.
Mm-hmm. So, whenever I got back, I hooked up with my buddy Dean, who had been wanting to like do a little bit more active gigging and like active band shit, because he was kind of recording a lot at the time. And we started this band called Zygrot, and me and him kind of started getting that going and found the proper members for it. And we did that for a couple years, which was really fun too. Like it was kind of a style of music that I was like not super proficient at, or just never done it before. And then we wanted to play death metal, and so we kind of fucking did our own little death metal crust punk fucking crossover, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And that was a really fun project for a while, until the pandemic kind of fucking not tore the band apart, but it definitely put some hurdles in our way that not everybody was able to overcome, and it ended as quickly as it started. We had a bunch of fucking good shows recorded, put out a tape, and then just as soon as that was it, like one of our members left, and we tried to continue on as a three-piece for a while, and wrote a bunch of songs and then just never recorded them before the band ended, which was like kind of a bummer. But around that same time that the pandemic was kind of fucking winding down, and Zygrot was winding down, I had started another band with Justin, because me and him had, you know, made music together for so long that we really knew like each other's writing style, and we're like, there's no reason that we shouldn't be fucking making more cool songs. And so I started another band with him, which was originally called Specimen AD, and we had a lineup for that, and we practiced like through the pandemic. We were like, all right, if there's any time for us to like get ready for fucking shows, like this is it. Like we can all just be really safe and practice with masks on and shit. Which ended up, it was like almost a gimmick at the beginning. We're like, oh yeah, we should just like play with masks, or like we're doctors or some shit. And then it turns out that probably would have not aged very well, you know?
That's actually funny.
Yeah, and so kind of towards the end of Zygrot, Justin, who I was writing a lot of the songs with, he became kind of overwhelmed with his other projects and things going on with the record store and everything. And so he needed to kind of bow out on the drumming. And so the drummer of Zygrot stepped up, who I already knew and was working on, and filled in for drums. And so now he's the drummer of the current band that I'm working on, which is called Poison Tribe.
Hell yeah.
And that's what's been going for the most part since then.
Right.
Yeah.
So was that what you just talked about, was that Poison Tribe?
So yeah, I mean, Nicole, who I had played in with Doers of It, plays bass. I was playing guitar. Justin on drums. We had another singer named Brazil, who things didn't work out with for a number of reasons. I fucking love that dude. So after that, we convinced Nicole's husband, Phil, to take over on vocal duties, and he's been doing really amazing. I fucking like that dude's style a lot.
Oh yeah.
So we've been writing songs with that lineup with Dean since then.
Have you guys put anything out?
Yeah, so we've got 2 demos basically at this point, and we're working on the content for a 7-inch coming up soon.
Hell yeah, dude. That's rad. Well, I'm excited to hear it. Well, so tell us about the screen printing experience.
Oh, sure. So I had always kind of been fascinated with screen printing. One, because my mom was a screen printing textile artist. She would like do a lot of screen printing for her own art, and I obviously had been doing screen printing shit for the bands that I was in. Justin being the person who taught me the most out of it, and we were just like doing the jankiest screen printing setups ever. We, like, you know, burn the screen with like a little floodlight in the basement, yeah. And then we like put the shirts like on this little little shitty fucking counter, and then you hold the screen on there with your belly and then your hand, and use the other hand to fucking, you know, press the ink or whatever. Use a little heat gun to do the thing. We were doing janky shit, but it worked. And so I'd always been interested in doing that. And then whenever I had moved back here and was looking for work, my buddy Dan Gilbert, rest in peace, had a job at a screen printing shop, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, do you like want like a couple weeks of work to just like help out and like do chores and shit in the screen printing shop?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And really like starting to do that is really what got my foot in the door at this screen printing company called ASPS. It was a small print shop. And yeah, at first I was just catching and folding shirts, and then like spraying out screens and like cleaning stuff, and then, you know, you just start to learn more and more as you're around. And they didn't want to give me a job at first, but it took a long time, and I was like, "Hey, what's up? You want me to print these shirts for you? I know how to do all this stuff now." And they're like, "Okay, next week we'll let you know if you have a job next month or not." I'm like, "Okay." And then that went on for a long time. But eventually they realized that I was a pretty good worker and was knowledgeable about my shit from all the tips and tricks that I witnessed while I was working there. So that's been my gig, and it's been really good because bands need shirts.
Yeah. What's the name of the current place you're at?
It's the same place. Like it's called A Small Print Shop. The pandemic did a number on it, and the place that we were working at before, the owners of the property wanted to raise rent, and the owner of the shop started to went in the process of buying a whole building for his business, so he didn't have to deal with renting anymore, and now he has it. And so I've since started working over there again after a little break, working at other screen printing shops in the meantime.
All right, well, tell us about this fight then. This is a fight.
Oh, the old, you talking about the limo thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
so where are you in your life when this happened?
This was in Albuquerque, probably like right around the time, right before I left to go travel around and live in my fucking car with this girl. You know, all me and my fucking punk buds are like rowdy as shit, and we're just like in the streets doing fucking dumb shit. I think we were coming back from a show, or we must have been coming back for a show or a party or some shit, and we were fucking driving, and we pull up to this light, and there's a limo just pulling up next to us at the stoplight. I think we're in the turning lane, they're in the turning lane, and one of my buddies was like rolls down the window, and you know we're all fucking drunk, and he starts yelling, and he's like, "Burn the rich! Burn the rich! Fuck you, you rich pieces of shit!" And like all this, and we're like, okay, like funny, like yeah, I get it, like let's fucking make fun of these limousine motherfuckers. And so they turn, and we turn, we end up getting stopped at another light, and he's yelling again, and all of a sudden, whoever's in the limo fucking realizes that someone's fucking yelling at him, trying to talk shit. At that point, my friend gets out of the car and starts kind of fucking banging on the windows, trying to fuck with these people. And guess who's in this limo? But a whole fucking high school team of jocks.
Oh, man.
Football players or something, I can only assume. And they're all coming back from whatever. They've all got fucking glass bottles and fucking they've been drinking and shit. And then this fucking huge fight ensues. They fucking smash my friend over the face with this fucking, I think it was a whiskey bottle. Damn. And then, like, once that happened, everyone's like, oh shit, it's on. And so we gotta fucking, like, fight for our lives against, 20 dudes.
Oh,
and which did not turn out very well.
How many of y'all?
There was, like, 4 of us in the car.
Shit.
Yeah. And my fucking hand got fucking sliced open by a glass bottle, which is why I have this scar right here, and I can't fucking fold my finger down any more than this. Our friend was fucking like destroyed his fucking whole. He had to go to the hospital. We went to the hospital. After the fucking fight kind of broke up, I was like, everybody fucking get the fuck in. We gotta get Cliff to the fucking hospital because he was fucking split the fuck open. Oh. And so we're like hauling ass down Manal or whatever the fuck. And I'm just like driving. And then there's a stoplight and there's a cop at the stoplight. And we're like, we stop because I don't want to run the fucking stoplight in front of this cop and create more problems. We're like, hey, fucking cop, look, our friend's fucking bleeding in the back seat. Like, can we fucking run this light? And the cop's all, like, fucking go. And the flips on the lights, and we fucking go. And the cop chases us down to the fucking hospital. Of course, like, friend's fucked up. He fucking, like, goes into the ER. Like, I'm sitting there with, like, my fucking hand, like, super fucked. But, like, what are they going to do? They're just going to, like, stitch it up. And I was, like, waiting for that. Those cops that fucking escorted us through the light and, like, several blocks down or whatever to where the hospital was, while Cliff was fucking getting sewn up and while I was getting sewn up, apparently one of the cops took one of our, the 2 of our other friends to the 7-Eleven to get coffee or some shit. And supposedly, one of them had a fucking conflict tattoo, which is crazy to me. And then the other one was playing like, what did they tell me that he was playing on the way to fucking get coffee, like Exploited or fucking some shit like this. Which I'm like, yeah. Which I'm like, what, dude? Are you fucking sure? Like, these cops sound fucking whack as fuck. Like, if you were ever a fucking punker, you know that music at all, you weren't ever a punker in the first place to fucking be out there.
But they ended up being nice though, right?
Yeah. So they fucking took my friends to get some coffee, I guess, which is cool, but yeah, that was kind of a fucking weird night for sure.
So what was the lesson of that?
I mean, what can you take out of that? Like, fucking don't pick a fight with too many people.
Exactly.
Obviously, these dudes are fucking shitbirds.
Yeah, well, that was good though. What about like skateboarding? Like, how has skateboarding been a positive thing for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I started skateboarding whenever I was in Roswell, and it's kind of always been one of those same things. It's like kind of on the same line as this fucking countercultural movement, like same as punk, same as graffiti, same as just being anti-establishment. People want to fucking make art, and they're chastised for it. But as far as skateboarding goes, like, it's just kind of like one of those things that you can do by yourself to express yourself and better yourself in a lot of ways. Like, there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? It just like forces you to be mindful of yourself. You know what I mean? Like you can only fucking learn so much shit if you apply yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think that is a good thing for people to know, is like some patience and discipline.
Absolutely, man. That's great. So, did you want to like talk more about the Blastomat, or was that good what you already said?
We can talk more about it if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I played there and it was amazing. Tell me, what was the coolest thing about the Blastomat?
The coolest thing?
Or just, in general.
I think the coolest thing is that we were all in like such a formative point in our lives that being able to just like step up and be like, here's what we want in a venue, here's what we want to support. We were just able to take that and go with it. It's just like, we want to have a place for fucking punk bands to spread their word, to come play and like have people see them. And we just fucking did it. It was it's kind of crazy to me. I'd never witnessed anything like that. But within the group that we had, there was enough like-minded individuals that were, motivated enough to make the thing happen, do it correctly, pay the touring bands. It was just fucking really eye-opening to see that, like, if there isn't a place for bands to play, you can just make it.
Yes.
Like, that was...
it's inspiring.
Yeah, it was very fucking awesome, and I'm very proud to be part of it. There was only a couple of years there that I had lived there before people started fucking hitting me up directly, being like, hey, I heard you booked the show for this band. Can you book a show for our band? And I'm like, absolutely, we can fucking do that. And then that just kind of like snowballed until more and more people were hitting me up about doing shows there or fucking wherever they could. If there was already a show there, I'd be like, hey, I can help you out with a show over here. I feel like that's what happened with your band.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like a really important thing for people listening to this to know, is that if something isn't fucking happening the way you want, or you want to fucking make music that you want, just fucking do it yourself. Just fucking start doing it. No one really fucking stopped us, and well, for a long time. we got fucked with a little bit, but I mean,
how so?
For a long time we were like selling beer and doing fucking shit like that, and that fucking kind of era was like, okay, we pushed our boundaries just a little bit too far. Like, to maintain a DIY venue, you need to fucking abstain a little bit and like keep shit sort of fucking chill,
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that they started that, and that they were able to hand off the torch so easily to Aaron and Seven Circle, and it's still fucking going. It's still there. It's still basically the same venue. If you want to play Blastomat, go play Seven Circle. It's the same spot.
What was all of the things that y'all did at Blastomat at the peak of its existence? Because there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It was such a fucking hub of like all kinds of like direct action shit, and like we were doing like food not bombs out of there for a while. But for the most part, it was having shows and raising awareness for fucking different shit. Like,
was there a skate thing outside?
For a little bit, yeah. Like towards the end there was some dudes who reached out and were like, "What if we put a skate park in here?" And we're like, "Yeah, go for it. Let's fucking do it." And there was like a half pipe in the back, little ramps and shit. I feel like that kind of has another aspect of it where people are like, well, you're liable for things now, and so I think that kind of fizzled out because there's like a danger to people, same way that drinking or fucking like whatever.
Exactly. So was there also a like punk store or record store inside of there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rudy and Geraldo, who were part of the fucking group at that time, kind of spearheaded making a kind of a storefront where what the fuck was it called? I forget the name of their fucking distro. We'll put it in the comments.
That place was cool though.
Yeah, but so it was like bands could come and leave records on consignment of their own band, and they would stay there for fucking future shows, and it was a fucking huge thing. And it was I think it was really good for the community as a whole, having some spot to like distro all the fucking records of bands that had been there, and like support like other distros and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips for new musicians?
I mean, like I said, if there's not a type of music that you hear being played, just fucking make it, dude. If you got friends that are into the type of music that you like, just start playing that shit. You'll figure it out. Like there's no fucking rule book for that. If there is, fuck whoever made the rule book.
Oh yeah. Well, so you've been through a lot in your life. I was gonna ask you, like, do you have any coping skills that have helped you, or?
I mean, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Is that music really has been a fucking huge coping skill of mine for anything. Like, I can't say that it's the same for every music, because the music that we play, it typically is fucking really angry, and it talks about all the things that you're fucking pissed off about. And so maybe that's the way that people should go if they want to express themselves and work through anything that's ailing them. But yeah, I mean, that's just me. I mean, I feel like music is very good because it forces you to work with people and kind of put yourself in situations that you don't necessarily envision yourself in being in, and to work with other people to make common goals happen. I feel like that's been one of my great coping mechanisms. Skateboarding too. Skateboarding's a good one. If you're fucking mad, go throw yourself down some stairs. You know, it'll make you feel better about shit real quick.
That's great stuff, man. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Thanks.